Hey, welcome to the weekly vlog. It's Susan Pierce Thompson, and I don't know if you noticed, but we just had a holiday here in America, and I know this holiday has kind of spread to other parts of the world too, called Halloween. And I got a lot of people writing into me to say, how did you handle Halloween with your kids, and did you give out candy at the door when people came to trick or treat, and what are your thoughts? So I thought that would be a perfect vlog topic. So that's what we're going to talk about this week. So I think the day after Halloween was 2 days ago, and I awoke that morning late. It was a Sunday because Halloween was Saturday night, right, this year. And I awoke late. I slept in, which was such a treat. And my husband had gone out golfing, so I was the only grown-up in the house. And I came downstairs, and my three kids, ages 7, 7, and 4, had gotten into the Halloween candy and had eaten almost all of it. Like, it was strewn all over the house. There were wrappers, and there was like an open half chewed one on my dresser, and there was stuff on the floor, and it was just a big mess. And I said, okay, guys, we need to clean this up now. And they scurried around and cleaned it up. And over the course of the day, they ate the rest of it, pretty much. And folks might be surprised to hear that I let my kids binge out on Halloween candy. And we do actually have that as a sort of, I don't know if it's a policy, but it's what we do in our house, is that Halloween on the day and the day after are gorge days. They just are. They just eat and eat and eat and eat and eat. And then the rest gets swept away, put in a Tupperware, put on top of we have a cupboard way up high, or our kids' school, and this is so brilliant, they have a week, I think, after Halloween, they have bins in the lobby of the school where you can bring the Halloween candy and donate it. I don't know what they do with it. They get rid of it. So that's cool. So it's not an ongoing thing. It's not like my kids get to eat Halloween candy as much as they want for weeks after Halloween. It's just the day of and the day after. And then we kind of go back to normal. And you might be thinking, wow, Susan, what are you doing to your kids' brains? And knowing what you know about the brain, why would you do that? And my answer is that, in my opinion as a parent, we thread a very thin line. It's like walking a tightrope between, on the one hand, letting food be a free-for-all and wiring our kids' brains for addiction, and on the other hand, being so restrictive with food that we make our kids crazy for the forbidden fruit. There's a forbidden fruit effect, right? When you restrict or deny something that they certainly are going to get exposed to in other ways, it becomes more enticing. And in that direction, we engender lying, sneaking, cheating, stealing, being dishonest. And that's not behavior that I want to foster in my kids either, but nor do I want their brains to be wired for addiction. So I want to share some research with you. And this was a Nature Neuroscience paper that was published several years ago. And it's one of my favorite papers. It's, in my opinion, one of the definitive papers showing the development of food addiction when exposed to the foods that are of the variety that are available on Halloween. And it wasn't in humans, it was in rodents. And I always forget whether it's rats or mice. Forgive me on this one. Let's say it was rats. I don't know if it matters so much, but let's say it was rats. And they exposed rats to either a control condition, just got standard rat pellets, and then there were two experimental conditions. One got crazy, sugary, floury foods 23 hours a day, as much as they wanted, like an all-you-could-eat smorgasbord, like being in Vegas, like crazy. And then the other condition got exposure to those foods, but just 1 hour a day. And research showed that the rats who got exposure to those foods 23 hours a day on an ongoing basis developed food addiction that made their brains as wired for addiction as the brains of rats who are addicted to heroin or cocaine. But the rats who were addicted to it 1 hour a day, while they did start to change their caloric intake, so more and more and more of their daily calories were being consumed in that 1 hour a day, in other words, binge eating behavior was sort of instigated, their brains did not wire for addiction. There was no evidence afterwards that the dopamine receptors in the nucleus accumbens thinned out. And as a parent, I take that to be some good news. What it means to me is that chronic, daily, ongoing exposure is the real worrisome thing. And the occasional overindulgence isn't going to create the changes in the brain that we're worried about. So here's what I think of as a parent. I think of my own eating behavior as setting the bar. And it's sort of an anchoring effect. The way I eat and the way the parents in the household eat, that becomes the norm. That becomes the standard. And then treats and exceptions are gauged as treats and exceptions off of that standard. So, for example, in our house, other than at Halloween and maybe Easter, we don't have sugar products in our house year-round at all, of that variety, like none. We don't serve dessert after meals. We don't have cookies in the house. We don't have ice cream in the house. We don't have popsicles in the house. We don't have anything in the house of that variety. And the healthy eating that they see the parents in the home demonstrating becomes sort of a benchmark, a standard. And yes, they're exposed to the school cafeteria and the movie theater snack bar and Halloween and birthday parties. And what drives me most nuts probably is the kids' menus on restaurant menus. In restaurants, the kids' menus, they just drive me nuts. As if, the only thing that kids can eat is mac and cheese and pizza and chicken fingers. But all of those other places where they get exposed to food, those are compared to the standard, the baseline. Like how one eats is really how the parents eat in the home. And in my home, I only serve foods that I feel comfortable serving. I decided a long time ago that I don't feel comfortable serving goldfish, for example. I know that that's sort of a standard in a lot of homes. I don't feel comfortable serving that. We don't have any sugar cereals in our house. My kids eat whole shredded wheat, not the frosted kind, just regular shredded wheat. My kids eat Fiber One. My kids eat Uncle Sam's. They eat O's that are purely O's, no sugar added, that kind of thing. So I serve foods that I feel comfortable serving, and then it's hands off and the kids eat however much they want or don't want from what's being provided. I am already starting to see an unfortunate thing, which is that my kids want to eat out all the time because they know that they'll get, those foods when they go to eat out. It's a very difficult thing to be a parent who's concerned about healthy eating in this society. And short of moving to some kind of commune or neighborhood or community where everybody eats wholesome, whole foods, maybe there's enclaves in California or the Pacific Northwest or on some commune somewhere where everybody eats that way, short of doing that, where they wouldn't be exposed to it at birthday parties in restaurants, on holidays, I'm not sure that it's possible to do an ideal job by our kids in this kind of environment. So what I'm doing as a parent is trying to do my best not to ruin holidays for them, not to be seen as, the heavy and the witch and the rule upholder, although I know I already am to some extent. My husband's a little bit more lax with food than I am, and I know that I'm already seen as sort of the one to not tell if you're eating those things. It's hard. It's hard. So here's what I feel good about so far. I feel good about the fact that with the approach that I'm taking so far, my kids like and eat quite a surprising variety of fruits and vegetables. They anticipate there being wholesome foods on the table every night, and by and large, they're still excited about eating certain things. Actually, broccoli and Brussels sprouts are among them. My kids love broccoli and Brussels sprouts and green beans, and apples and, other fruits. So I am happy that they're still normal weight. That's good. That's actually hard to do in this society, to raise kids that are still, average weight. And I'm happy that we don't have battles in my home over food, mostly, by and large. I think it's hard, though, and any parents who are concerned about their kids eating, I just want to say I feel ya. And I want to end on this, which is we have a society today where foods that are completely addictive are the norm. We're all exposed to them. And what this means is that we're raising a generation of human beings, and we're in that mix too, those of us who are not kids anymore. So it's actually several generations of human beings who are at risk for having food be an issue in their life and having to reassess and reevaluate their relationship with food at some point during their life in order to stay healthy and happy. And if we model as parents an ability to do that kind of self-inventory and make the kinds of changes that lead to a healthier, happier life, that's going to have an effect too. As soon as my kids are old enough, I look forward to watching movies with them, like Fed Up and Food Inc., and some of the amazing documentaries that have been made about our food system. And that will help them to understand why mommy eats the way she does, and why she doesn't eat sugar and flour, and why she only eats at mealtimes. And I think I'm feeling right now that that's the best I can do. And I'll be honest with you, if I change my approach to this, there might be a Halloween in the future where I'm like, you know what, I'm done with it. We're not doing the candy thing this year. But for now, I feel pretty protective of my kids' childhood, and I feel like I don't want to ruin holidays for them. And so on Halloween, I let my kids be kids, and I let them gorge out on candy. And then, here we are just a few days after Halloween, and the candy's all gone, and we're back to normal eating. And I am really hopeful that that is good enough, that I'm being a good enough mother. But I want to say that it's tough. And for those of you in Brightline Eating Land who sweated out Halloween when it came to your kids, I just want to say I feel ya. So that's the weekly vlog. And if you have a question for me that you would like me to address on the weekly vlog, go ahead and send it in to Susan@brightlineeating.com, and I'll do my best to answer it, and I will see you next week.